Good morning, friends. It is an absolutely horrible day outside. Lots of thunder and lightning and rain and all of that. So, coming to you from my little reading nook at home inside. But I was thinking that this also creates a kind of a unique opportunity because I have all my little books and wisdom readings, and I was just looking at Clarity and Connection by Young Pueblo. What I thought might be interesting is to share some of this wisdom he writes with you, and then maybe think about it from a sort of evolved cosmic Christ perspective. So the reading that I just kind of randomly turned to says, "How people perceive you is more reflective of their inner mechanics than your actions. You cannot control how others think and live, but you can be intentional about the energy you put into the world. Some may misunderstand you, but what matters most is that you understand you." And so I read that and thought it might be interesting to think about what maybe Jesus might think if he were to read that. And not the caricature one that you were introduced as a kid who went around smiling and granting wishes like a genie. I think in terms of what Richard Rohr calls the cosmic Christ, that is sort of the in all, through all, with all, and who is captured in this revolutionary, boundary-pushing, zealot, radical rabbi guy who walked, around Palestine a couple thousand years ago and, turned all of their ideas on their heads, basically, through storytelling. So, that Jesus. But when I read that, I would think that Jesus often talked about throughout different sections of the Gospels your identity as a child of God and his confidence in his identity. He would use terms and forgive the gender bias, but this is how they captured it in the Greek. The Father is in me and I am in the Father. And that's how he saw his essential identity. And for me, that begs the question of, how might I view my essential identity if I really could truly believe and grasp that my identity is in the divine? That my deepest sense of self is how the divine is me and I am in the divine. The kind of trust and faith I might have in myself and in the actions that I take, instead of, not to shame myself or anyone else, but instead of the human way of, what about this and what about that and any decision I make and check it with 20 other people and, all those kind of things that tend to go through our minds. So that piece stuck out to me, as well as, if Jesus was living this radical life, pushing against so much of what empire said and culture said and religion said, and, sort of turning all of these ideas upside down with these highly provocative stories that took, your enemy and made them the hero. How that would not have been well received. I mean, obviously, if you heard the story, they kill him for it. But how that wouldn't necessarily make for a pleasant experience of moving through. I think we read these stories with all of the eyes that we have and the experiences that we have, where Christianity has become the empire in many ways. And, it sort of feels as if this all would have been really great. He was a hero. He's a rock star. He's Taylor Swift. I don't know. And people just fawn all over him. And really, he was such a provocative character that he would have had to have such thick skin about what other people said and thought about him. And understood in some way, maybe, hopefully, I hope for Jesus' sanity, that how they thought about him was a reflection of them. This must be why on the cross he says, "Forgive them, they know not what they do." Because it's a reflection of them that they're throwing at him. It's not what he said or done, which he has deeply rooted in his identity as a child of the divine. So I hope that whatever little bits of wisdom float your way today, they will remind you that you are a child of the divine. They will remind you that what others think of you is a reflection of them and not of you. I hope and pray for each of us that we might move through the world a little more like Jesus, loving people, sort of turning the norm on its head, being authentically who we're called to be, and trusting that, and loving others well. Maybe just let it be the guide. We don't have to get it just right. I hope you have a wonderful morning wherever you are, friends. And if you're in this weather, be careful. Grace and peace.